So from the key to success number two, making self-care a priority, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, well, and this is where you really avoid burnout by making yourself a priority. And yeah, and talking about planning your week in advance, and in the success planner that I use with my clients, there's also a space within that to write how you're going to care for yourself each day. So, which is really important and again, often overlooked. So actually scheduling in time for self-care, I think, is really helpful, because I know for myself, I don't schedule it in, it doesn't get done. And that can be in terms of self-care as well. And it may sound a little funny at first to schedule in a meditation time, but it's better than not getting it done at all, right? So, schedule in that time for yourself.
Well, and especially, I mean, whether it's a womanpreneur or whether, even a lot of guys feel this way, do you think that if you don't schedule self-care, do you think that our need to help other people overrides our need to help ourselves? And do you think that might be why that, if we don't schedule that self-care in, that it just ends up going to the bottom of the pile and gets ignored and gets ignored in favor of other things that might help somebody else during the day?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, especially as entrepreneurs, we tend to be very service oriented. So what we can do for others, and, not always, but often more type A personality too, where it's go, 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 very task oriented and, wanting to get things done. So we can easily overlook the value of self-care, or, as you had said, again, giving so much to others that we forget ourselves in the process. So it really is that mindset shift of I matter too. I need to take time for myself. And once you begin to schedule it in, like every morning I'll do 10 minutes for meditation, which isn't that long. It's very doable and makes a huge difference in how my day plans out. Just taking that time for me to get clear on what, I want out of the day, and before I jump into checking emails and messages, to be able to begin by having that time for me. And it becomes, over time, it'll become a habit. So it's more natural. So at first, really schedule it in. It might be effort to stick with it, but then it just becomes part of your routine. So I would definitely recommend scheduling in time for self-care.
Yeah, and that really becomes the key is creating a habit out of it. It's something that, as Tony Robbins talks about, at least used to anyway, about 30 days to create a new habit. So that's why you need to schedule it in, at least at the beginning. But then after a while, creating a habit on it, you almost look forward to it, and it just becomes part of your ritual, part of your routine, and you feel, let me ask you this question. So you've scheduled certain things, and like you scheduled your meditation. If you find that there's a morning that either you accidentally wake up late or for whatever reason don't get it done, do you find that it kind of, you miss it during the day, and you kind of feel that sense of, hey, I didn't do something today and I should have, or I need to?
Oh, absolutely. I notice it 100%, because that's really what helps keep me grounded for the day and really set the intention. So I definitely, I notice that. If I don't fit it in, I feel the difference. Absolutely. I think it's so important. And that's what'll help you stick with it as well, is, you notice it when you don't do it. Like, oh, something's not off, something's not right. And, for me, I think that helps me be way more productive. And yeah, super important to take that time, something I recommend with my clients. And just taking that time for you is crucial and makes a world of difference in what you're able to accomplish throughout the day.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of interesting because one of the things you talk about is your body being in a fight or flight syndrome. And, I'm guessing, or let me ask you this. Do you think that scheduling, not only self-care, but scheduling in general, helps to reduce those stress hormones and that fight or flight response within your body?
Oh, I think absolutely it does, Chris, for sure. 'Cause you have more of that sense of control, whereas the fight or flight often stems from feeling completely out of control. And yeah, so when you schedule, you're able to get control of what you want to accomplish throughout your day and what you want to do, so that calms down your nervous system. And when you're not in that fight or flight response, it opens you up to being much more creative as well. You're able to notice those things around you that you would miss if you're feeling very stressed and overwhelmed. So, it's important because you want to feel at your best, you want to care for yourself, but then it also ends up being very beneficial for your business and what you're able to create. And of course, through that creation, service other people and offer to others.
Yeah, exactly. And then, to take it even one step further, I should say, to get back to self-care, self-care by its very definition is you taking care of yourself. Do you think that self-care is only about you and should have you kind of in isolation where it's only you taking care of yourself, or are there other ways that you can make sure that you've got self-care baked into your environment that involve people other than yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very important. For instance, having a support system in place would be crucial, especially as an entrepreneur. It's very easy to isolate yourself. Or be, behind a computer all day, or, working on tasks individually. And, that can even lead to depression if you're not careful. So really making sure that you do have that healthy support network. And I think especially with other entrepreneurs who get what you're going through and get those unique challenges that you're faced with, because it is, very different stressors than maybe working a 9-to-5 job. So reaching out and developing that healthy support network is huge. And, one of the reasons I love my mastermind groups is to be able to create that for women and to create that foundation of knowing, you're not alone in this and someone has your back. And we had talked earlier about that fear of judgment and criticism and what other people will say. And when you have that solid support system in place and people that are rooting you on, then you don't tend to notice that as much, or that fear kind of starts to go away when you realize you have so many people on your side and that are rooting for you.
Yeah, it ends up diluting the fear. I mean, let's face it, it's kind of like if you have a bowl that's filled with water, and or I should say, if you have a bowl that has maybe a tablespoon of water in, and you put a tablespoon of food coloring in, the water is going to pretty much turn the same color as that food coloring. Where if you dump a whole bunch more water in, it's going to dilute it, and it's going to be a lot lighter color. So if you put blue, if you put dark blue, if you put navy blue in, it's going to end up turning to a lighter or paler shade of blue. And that's where the food coloring is that negative, and the water is really that positive support system that you can build, around you. And the more positiveness and the more positive energy you have come in, it will dilute those negative thoughts and those negative feelings. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely. I really like that example, by the way. That is really cool. That's a nice visual to put to it.
Thank you. I must admit, there's another host on VCN TV, the Video Content Network, the digital television network I own. Her name is Reba Linker, and she does a very similar thing. It's talking about filling your cup, and she used blue food dye in one of her episodes. Maybe I'll link to it down below so you guys can see it. But it's kind of just popped in my head as you were talking about it. It's like, yeah, the blue food coloring example would work really well here. So.
Works perfectly. That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. It's the more you build up that support system and people that are cheering you on, the less you even notice those who are going to be critical. Like it really just starts to fade away.
Well, and it's interesting that we're talking about people, haters, so to speak, and negativity, because this all goes into the third key to success, which is all about developing healthy thinking patterns, or at least it's close enough. Raise your hand if you could use more clients. Now keep those hands up if you know that the best, most efficient, most effective way to attract your ideal client is to create great client attracting content that connects with your ideal client and makes it easier for you to convert them into paying clients. Now, whether you have your hands up or have your hands down, I invite you to join me on the Create, Connect, and Convert Online Summit. It's where I and other people who are real-world practitioners
practitioners of creating great client attracting content are going to share our secrets with you. The summit is online. It runs Wednesday, April 13th through Saturday, April 23rd. You need to go out to the web address on your screen at this point, register to reserve your seat. And remember, you want to join us on the Create, Connect, and Convert online summit, because creating content is how you spread your message, reach more people, and make a bigger difference.
To watch the rest of this epic episode now, click on the link below the video. Do it now, you'll be glad you did. Are you still here? What are you waiting for? Watch the rest of this epic episode now by clicking on the link below the video.